What's up guys, JV2017 here, and today I'm sharing my basic guide on how to build simple factories in the new Contraptions DLC pack for Fallout 4. A simple factory in this context is one builder connected to a basic conveyor belt that feeds into one storage location. And in this video, I'll show you how to set up a builder, construct those conveyor belts, and also use sorters to create a simple factory. The goal here is to give you a lot of the foundational knowledge that you'll need to get started and move on. And in a couple of days, I'll make an advanced guide covering the more complex parts of the process so we can move on to building advanced factories. The first step is to choose a builder, and so under the Power and then Manufacturing tab, you will find Machinery and a ton of different builders to choose from. So just for this example in this video, we'll start with the Weapons Forge, which requires 12 power in order to operate. And keep in mind, you'll need a lot of power to operate some of the more complex factories that we'll get into later on my channel. But for this, you don't need a ton of power. The Weapon Forge does need 12, so you will need more than just a large standard generator in order to get this thing running. So I would recommend the Fusion generator if you do have that science requirement. And so once your builder is powered, you will also need a terminal that's connected to a power source. It requires 1 power, so if you just connect it to the builder, you'll be ready to go. And this is the same across all builders. You will need a terminal in order to kind of configure the function of that specific builder. So for example, with the Weapon Forge control here, we have a ton of different options for weapons that I can create from this builder. And whichever option I click on is the one that I am setting this builder to create. So if I click on Combat Rifle right here, for example, I'll see New Build Item Combat Rifle. It'll give me the components required, but this is the actual weapon that the Forge is set to build. Now these machines don't just create objects out of thin air. We do have to actually go up and fill them with the components that we need. I believe there's a way to feed components into these machines as well, but I'll cover that in more advanced videos later on. But as you can tell, I'm just going up to the Weapon Forge and dumping all of my junk into it. You can do this, or you can dump the specific components that are required for each item that you're building. For example, I could just dump what I need for the combat rifle straight into there, and it would create the combat rifle. Next, you'll need a place to store all the items that you are manufacturing, and I definitely recommend the conveyor storage right here under manufacturing and then miscellaneous. It doesn't require a lot of materials. It requires power, but it's connected to your conveyor belt and your builder immediately. So as you can tell, it's just going to feed stuff directly into that storage, and that's where you can pick everything up afterwards. Once that builder has the required components, it will start pressing and manufacturing whatever you've set the terminal to. It does take a second to start up, so don't panic. And also, you'll know it's working if you see the top part moving up and down, gyrating as it is right now. And of course, it'll be spitting out the items that you've told it to via the terminal. As you can tell in the conveyor storage, we have 2 short combat rifles. This is essentially how it works, and this is a simple factory. As simple as it gets. You can do this for every single builder and build whatever you want just by using these steps. However, that's definitely not the end of the video. There's a lot more basic things that I want to teach you guys that I think will apply and help you as you're building more complex factories. Now we're going to take a look at sorters, and there are 2 different types underneath the miscellaneous category. We're starting with the first one that sorts based on its current inventory. Sorters do require power, but they just once again need to be connected to the builder and within a reasonable amount of range in order to receive the power from the generator. Once that connection is made, you can walk up and click transfer just like with the builder before and stick the item that you want sorted out into this machine, and it will do all the work for you. In this specific example, we're sorting the 10mm pistol, and so all of the 10mm pistols that come out of the builder will be sorted to the right, whereas everything else is going to be sent straight into the first conveyor storage that we created. And here it is working just like it should in action. And so what I've done is put the required components for the 10mm into the builder, and then also programmed the terminal to build 10mm pistols, and then of course we have the 10mm pistol in the sorter. And so as you can tell, it's working exactly as intended. If it's not a 10mm pistol that's coming out of the builder, it would go straight. But since there are 10mm coming out, it goes to the right. It's being sorted out into that conveyor storage. As an example, I'm going to show you guys what happens when I change what the builder is creating, but keep the sorter with the 10mm pistol. And so now I've changed this builder to create and manufacture combat rifles. You can tell they're going down the assembly line, and instead of being sorted out to the right, they're just going straight. And so this is what this sorter can do for you. If you have multiple builders feeding into this one sorter, you can effectively sort things and go in different directions. It can get really complex, but at the most basic level, this is how the first sorter works. Now we're looking at the second sorter. Once again, underneath manufacturing and miscellaneous, you'll find the component sorter, which instead sorts out items based on the components that you place in its inventory. So just like placing items with the first sorter, now you can place things like junk. So that'd be wood, steel, copper, those actual basic components, and this machine will sort them out to the right, just like with the first one. Now, for whatever reason, this sorter was really finicky for me when I was trying to use the weapons forge, so I went ahead and switched to the standard builder, which just builds junk random items. And so right now we're building the plastic pumpkin, which just requires plastic. And just to show you guys exactly how this is going to work, I dumped the plastic into the builder because that's the only component for these pumpkins, and then I went over to the sorter and placed wood inside. And then this is just an example to show you guys that it's not going to sort off to the right, it's just going to send everything straight because there's no wood in these pumpkins. And so if I were to have multiple things coming in here, obviously if there was wood in them, it would go off to the right. If there was plastic, it would just keep going straight. Now that I've switched the component inside, I've taken out the wood I put in the plastic, you're going to see that indeed it's going to sort out these pumpkins, send them to the right, sort them out of the main kind of line, and you're going to hear that little ding noise just to make sure that it's working. The final thing we're going to look at in this basic guide is the vacuum hopper, which just pulls items out of a container that's nearby whenever it's powered on. And I think the main application of this is if you just have a situation where you want to go in a different direction, or you're not, the conveyor belts aren't working. For some reason, some of the conveyor belts, they don't attach in ways that I wanted them to. They only work in one direction. And so if you're having issues like that, then the vacuum hopper definitely helps you out. It's fairly simple. The only thing you have to worry about is power and making sure that it reaches that vacuum hopper, and it's not going to be directly connected to the rest of your connection because it's kind of, separate. So I use power pylons to kind of direct a wire over from my original generator. So what you're seeing are steel balls being manufactured, sorted out to the right because I have steel with a component sorter, and then going into this conveyor storage, and then the vacuum hopper is simply just sucking them out because it's nearby. And as you can tell, it worked. And this is just another piece to the puzzle. If you're trying to achieve something specific, send things in different directions, and those belts aren't working with you when they're snapping together, then this definitely helps you out. That's all I have to share in this basic guide, but I'd like to hear from you guys. Is this helping you at all? Is there anything specific that you want to learn? I'm trying to make a lot of kind of instructional videos over the next week because this is quite a complex piece of DLC with all these tools that we're giving us. And so I'm going to have, a more advanced guide. I think I'm going to have a ball track guide coming out tomorrow, kind of explore that, maybe more of a basic guide, and then give another advanced guide for that. Let me know what you guys are thinking about all of this building in the comments below. All right, guys, today I shared my basic guide on how to build simple factories in the Contraptions DLC pack. Next time, we will cover more Fallout on my channel, so stay tuned for Fallout 4 tips and tricks videos. If you learned something new or enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe for more Contraptions DLC coverage, my survival mode live streams, Bethesda.net mods, and general tips and tricks videos. Talk to you guys next time. Peace!